Hey, let me tell you about this piece. It's called Bawlin, Bronx and Clatterin horns. Now, the period here is in the teens, between 1910 and 1920, so we say 1915, 1914, right in that range. And this all comes from a little bitty book that it found that it talked about the cattle drives that were up in Wyoming. They were in the Jackson Hole area. And they would drive these cattle, the Green River Cattle Company, or Cattle Association. And they would drive these cattle some distance to get to railheads to ship. Well, of course, they always had several stretches where it was very dry. And so these old cows, you know, they'd be getting kind of thirsty and they'd have quite a distance to cover. Well, when they'd smell that water, you know, some of them sometimes would just kind of bolt and head right towards that water. And that's kind of what's happening here. That's what you're seeing, is these old cows, these old steers are just trying to, they're smelling that water and they're crashing down trying to get down to it. And because of all of the clatter and all of the ruckus, this old horse has just sort of exploded right in the middle of it all. Now you know that this is a young horse because he's got a hackamore on him. That's what's on his head here. And that's a posao, it's a headstall, Theodore rope. Then this rope here, the rein nap, is called a McCarty rope. And it's braided horsehair in real life. And you use it on those hackamores. So whenever you see that on a horse, you'll know that he's 3-4-year-old, something like that. So he's a youngster. And this saddle here is an R.T. Fraser saddle. It was built in 1914. It's a Nelson tree. It was a kind of a typical kind of a good range tree that they built. And it's all carved. You can see the carving in that as you look at the piece closer. You can see the slicker here also because there's always chances of rain in that no matter what time of year it is. There's always those chances. So he's got his slicker tied on there. And he's got his old quirt. See, and what's happening is when these old horses go to bucking with you like that, you got to try and get their heads up and kind of get their attention. And that's what this old quirt here is all about. He's got kind of a typical hat from that period as well. And this old horse is just really lunging up and going forward there on that piece. And you can see these nice negative spaces in that, and you can just hear this old horse just a bawling. You know, no horse really goes to bucking. He'll just squall like a son of a gun. Now he's got one ear back because he's listening to what's going on back here. He's got this ear kind of flopped and looking up here where these old cattle are going, because he's kind of watching what he's doing. It has a real nice sense of action and movement to it. These big, loose textures. This old steer here is just hanging out there into space and turning around, and this old steer is crashing right back underneath. You just hear those horns just cracking and clattering. That's where the title comes from. So that's the story on the piece. I love all the masses and all the action that's in it. It really just takes you all the way through it. Thanks for letting me tell you about it.